Since I had such a definite goal for this month's TBR, I thought I would do a mid-month wrap-up and update you on what I've read so far this month. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where I do have reviews of a couple of the books that I have read so far. So yes, this month I am aiming to sort of do non-fiction November rolled up with Netgalley November, and because I've got very specific aims this month, it's going fairly well, I think. Most of these have been done via audio, but I have actually read a couple of ebooks so far this month, and I do have a couple of physical copies of these. So yeah, let's jump right in. Here's the update. As always, these books will be linked in the description box below, and I will have left my November TBR linked up above as well in case you missed it. So let's jump right in. First of all, we have a Netgalley November book that I have just finished. This one is Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher. I bought the audiobook of this one, however I don't think it was a great audiobook purchase, and so I did return it because I had trouble with the three different narrators. So this one has three different characters and three different narrators. The premise behind this one is that these three people, their very close friend has died, and they are kind of like sorting their lives out post that event, and one of the things that they do is they go on an epic adventure on a hike in Peru. And so we have Mike, Zaza and Vicky, and those three characters each have a different narrator in the audiobook. However, Zaza's chapters were really loud compared to Mike and Vicky's chapters, but there was still a difference in volume between Mike and Vicky's chapters as well. And so I was driving along the M1 Friday night rush hour, trying to go from the north of England to the south of England, having to continuously adjust the volume because one character's narration was so much louder than the others. So I did return the audiobook. The other issue I had with this book, whilst I love the premise and it's like a journey book and it's about friendship and finding yourself and not realizing that you needed to find yourself because of a journey. I love that premise, but we just took too much time getting to the action. The actual part where, you know, these three were together in Peru was a really small part of the book, and so the balance just felt off to me. The pacing just felt a little bit off. I love the fact that Vicky's part in this book was narrated by Giovanna Fletcher as well, but it just fell short for me, this one. And so if you're sort of looking for a recommendation, I couldn't in good consciousness say yes, you'll love this book, because it just didn't feel right for me. I read the whole thing and I have a review on my blog, which as I am posting this will be up tomorrow. Let's go for a non-fiction book that I finished. This is Where the Deer and the Antelope Play by Nick Offerman, and this one is the pastoral observations of one ignorant American who loves to walk outdoors. So this is just a lot of observations from Nick Offerman, based in and around the last couple of years, to do with the outdoors. He talks about national parks, he talks about fishing, he talks about hiking, he talks about life in his Airstream, he talks about Megan, he talks about their dog, and he's a very opinionated person, and I really like that about him. It's very funny because the reviews of this one really talk about the fact that he is, you know, his liberal views, he's just got views on everything, and he's so liberal and really obviously like hates the American government. And like, he sets out by saying all of this. He is like, yes, I am incredibly liberal, and yes, I, you know, dislike this and this. And he's just really open about the fact that he is like this. And so all these reviews are like, oh, but actually he states that throughout the book. And so I just really enjoyed listening to his opinions. It's narrated by him, and so I just enjoyed being in the car listening to Nick Offerman tell me his views on X, Y and Z, and I really enjoyed it, just like his other books. And so yeah, I haven't really got anything else to say about that apart from the fact that it was a good audiobook and I enjoyed it. Back to another Netgalley November read now, and this one I do have a whole video talking about in case you have missed it. it's not In Case You've Missed It. It's On a Night Like This by Lindsey Kelk. And this one came out on the 11th of November, the same as Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher. I went to a signing with Lindsey Kelk in Waterstones in Meadowhall. It was so exciting. Unfortunately, I was only able to go to one of the signings. I would have liked to have been able to go to another event, and I did have tickets to go to another event, but I just could not make it happen. However, I have a full review of this one, talking about it, showing you the book, showing you some pictures from the signing, and so I will leave that linked up above. And also, I do have a review on this channel for In Case You Missed It. So that is in the Lindsey Kelk playlist. So I will leave that linked for you as well. But this is new adult rom-com, Lindsey Kelk. It's lovely. There's a tiny bit of Christmas in it as well. So highly, highly recommend. It will be linked down below, but watch the video and that's what you need to know about this one. And then whilst we have physical books in our hands, another non-fiction November read for me is Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given. This is the beautiful exclusive small pink edition, and I just love it. This one I thought was it was kind of different from what I expected. It says Women Don't Owe You Pretty is for anyone who wants to challenge the outdated narratives supplied to us by the patriarchy. It says it will help you to embrace feminism in all its messy glory, explain that you are the love of your own life, and remind you that you owe men nothing, least of all pretty. But actually there is a whole section on Florence Given's kind of like acceptance of her own queerness and what it means to be queer, and her kind of like coming round to realizing that that was part of her identity. And so I kind of like didn't realize that it was going to be about that going into it, and that's actually one of the parts that I really enjoyed. Again, it's narrated by the author. It's not very long. I mean, you can see how short the small edition is, but the audiobook itself I basically listened to on the way to work and back, and then a little bit more once I got home, and that was it. It was finished. Just to give you an idea, if you're looking for a quick listen or a quick read, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I sort of saved it for non-fiction November as well. And then circling back to Netgalley November, I listened to The 12 Dates of Christmas by Lisa Dickenson, which has been on my TBR for forever, and has been on my Netgalley shelf since before it came out. So I feel really bad for not having reviewed this one, even though I have reviewed other Lisa Dickenson novels on the blog. Had not reviewed this one. This one is, again, a kind of bit of a journey of self-discovery. This is adult romance, 12 Dates of Christmas. I wouldn't say it was super festive because our main character is not the most festive person. So it's not like in your face, this is Christmas. We're not talking Hallmark Christmas movie, Christmas festive time, but I did enjoy it. And the 12 dates, one of them is a Starbucks date, and that's my sort of first date venue of choice, in case you were wondering. But yeah, I appreciated the fact that we had a Starbucks date in there, and two of the characters are either current or former ballet dancers as well. And I thought that was interesting because I don't think I've come across another novel. I've had non-fiction books, but I don't think I've come across another novel where we have a ballet dancer as a main character. So I really liked that difference. It wasn't the most challenging read, it wasn't the longest read, and so it was just a really nice listen. And my mum and I listened to this one together, and so we could sort of talk about it as we were going along and sort of bemoan our main character and be like, oh, why have you made this choice? Let's sort this out now. Which is always fun when you're sort of buddy reading or reading with someone else simultaneously. And then flicking back to non-fiction November, I listened to The Storyteller by Dave Grohl, which was really interesting because, as I say, I've seen him do a lot of talking heads in documentaries about music and music studios and music venues and other musicians, and I don't know an awful lot about him in himself. And one of the fun facts that I took away from this one is that he is the musician who has appeared on Saturday Night Live the most. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because he's appeared with various different people, including on his own. He does describe the incident where he jumped/fell off the stage and broke his ankle, and then carried on performing, sort of went away, got a boot on it, came back and carried on performing. And he describes the injury itself and how it felt to him, and just the way he described it, like, we can tell that he's a bit of a songwriter, because the description is it was tough. I am not a squeamish person. I am fine with all kinds of injuries and bodily fluids. I'm a teacher, I have to be. But that made me feel a little bit funny. And I was kind of like, making dinner at the time was like, I kind of need to sit down and I don't want to chop these carrots anymore. So those were the two standout bits for me. But again, it's non-fiction. It's narrated by him. It's the audiobook. I'm sure that the actual book itself has some pictures that I might be interested in, but I much preferred, again, being on my commute to and from work, cutting up things in the kitchen and listening to him tell me his life story. It also has some music in it as well, which I thought was really cool. And so I enjoyed that. And it has an encore chapter rather than a sort of epilogue, which I thought was really apt and really well put together. Whoever edited this did a great job as well. And then we have my book versus movie book, which I have just read and watched, and so the next bookish video you will see from me will be that book versus movie, so make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on that. I listened to the audiobook of Passing by Nella Larsen. There is an audiobook version of this that is narrated by Tessa Thompson, who is in the movie here, and this is the movie tie-in edition cover, or it could be, yeah, this is, I think this might also be the film poster. But this is now on Netflix if you would like to watch it. The audiobook is fairly short. The film itself is nice and short as well. But I will be giving full thoughts on this one in my book versus movie video, which you will have to wait and see. So that's a bit of a teaser for the what I've read so far, because I have read it, but you're going to have to wait for the book versus movie to find out what I thought of it. And then I am currently halfway through not a Netgalley and not a non-fiction. I'm currently halfway through a book that I forgot was coming out in November, and so it is a short book, and so I read the first half of it over like dinner and coffee on Monday night, and I will read the second half of it in the second half of November. And this one is part 4 of The Little Shop of Hidden Treasures by Holly Hepburn. This one is called Christmas Wishes, and so it is just a little bit festive. I will let you gaze on that here, and things are happening. I'm only halfway through it, but I will have read it probably by the time you're watching this video, because it's not the longest book. I think the reading time on these is about an hour and a half each, so if I sit down and have a decent reading session with a cup of tea, I could definitely finish this one. But the bind up of all 4 parts of The Little Shop of Hidden Treasures comes out on the 6th of January, so I obviously wanted to make sure that I'd read part 4 and reviewed it for you by the time it comes to sort of thinking about pre-ordering that one. I will try and remember to leave the link to pre-order the bind up if reading it in 4 parts isn't your thing, but there's still time, they're still out. I think they're only 99p each, and so I enjoy reading these as 4 little parts, because I like having something that I know I can sort of sit down and finish in one sitting if I want to. But yeah, there you have it. I have some more non-fiction books that I would like to get to, and I have some Netgalley books that I will possibly try and get to as well before the month is out. But we are halfway through now. I have one more decent length road trip before the end of the month, and so I can definitely get at least another couple of books read, as well as obviously some more commutes to and from work. And so I'm excited that I've made some decent progress this month, and that's why I wanted to share it with you here in this video today. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you like a mid-month wrap up, if you would like one every month, if just one very occasionally is enough for you. I think the last time I did this might have been April, because my reading month in April was going really badly, and so I think that's the last time I gave you a mid-month wrap up. But the end of the year is in sight. The end of the school year is in sight as well. It's been interesting being back at school this term. And I will have that book versus movie coming up for you next week. And I will have a movie review coming up for you this weekend. The movie reviews are kind of like hyping up a little bit more now because there's lots of big releases coming out, ones that have been delayed, ones that were supposed to come out. We're going into Oscar season. It's very exciting, so I need to make sure I'm making reading time as well as movie watching time, and you know, time to sleep as well. Why not? So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. As I say, let me know in comments what you think of a mid-month wrap up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my book versus movie for Passing next week. And yeah, I will leave that Lindsey Kelk review in the end screen for you as well. And yeah, I will see you with my next video. Thanks for watching.